The movie Stonewall opened in cinemas last Friday. It's meant to be a dramatization of the 1960s gay liberation riots in New York, but critics say it rewrites history and ignores the transgender community's role. Midweek's Tim Forster spoke with Evan Reed Armstrong, a researcher of transgender films and Masters of Film candidate at Carleton University. Before that, here's a quick taste of the movie Stonewall.
Everybody, this is Danny. Danny.
Welcome to New York.
We're an organization that fights for gay rights.
What are you looking at, faggot?
All right, it's ready. Up against the wall.
This is what we're fighting.
What is Stonewall the movie supposed to be about, or what is it actually about? Stonewall, the film, claims to be a recapitulation of the events of the Stonewall riots, which happened in June of 1969. So police frequently raided homosexual, lesbian, transgender bars. So the Stonewall riots happened in late June 1969, like I said, because during one of these raids, a transgender woman of color actually threw a brick at a police officer who was raiding them and said to the bystanders, "Aren't you guys going to do anything?" And so this film claims to sort of be a recapitulation of this moment in civil rights history where lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer people were sort of took this moment to fight back, that it was this revolutionary moment. Unfortunately, that's not actually what the film is doing. Honestly, it's a whitewashing. But actually what they're doing in this film is they're rewriting history. So critics everywhere are furious.
If you can elaborate more on why the reception has been negative for Stonewall the film.
Transgender women of color were huge in Stonewall. These women were big in this movement, but almost all of the pivotal big transgender female figures have been edited out of this retelling of Stonewall. Instead, they've fictionalized a white, gay, male, fresh off the farm, good-looking country boy as sort of this inciter of Stonewall.
That character, the main character, Danny, according to the director of Stonewall, Roland Emmerich, is apparently meant to be straight acting in order to appeal to a broader audience. That was more or less what the director said. What's your reaction to that?
Thank goodness that the queer community has a straight savior, because and I mean, that's the thing. Like, this is ridiculous. This is a retelling from people who did not live it. This is a bunch of straight people telling queer history. It's offensive on literally every way that it can be offensive. But my favorite reviews have said things like, "This film, Stonewall, is like the movie Selma if we decided to replace Martin Luther King with a white guy." This person, this Danny, didn't exist in this moment in time. And to give him power, to give this fictional white, straight, acting gay male unicorn power, is to take it away from people who fought and died for it, frankly. Right now, in this moment, transgender women of color are 4 times more likely to be murdered than any other counterpart. So is this really the moment that we want to be taking away voices from the transgender community? Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson, they went out and started access groups to get trans women off of the streets. What are we saying by eliminating them, that their voices aren't valuable? Is that what we're saying? Is this the moment that we want to say that? The idea that we have only come so far as to say that some stories being put out there is good enough is unacceptable. There are ways to give voice to minorities that do not have voice right now. It's not about glorifying transgender characters or trans women of color. It's not about making them to be better than they are. It's about giving them a chance to represent themselves and a chance to speak.
So just to be 100% clear, are any of the transgender women you mentioned before in the movie?
Not to my knowledge.
Well, thank you, Evan.
No worries, Tim.
That was Midweek's Tim Forster with film researcher Evan Reed Armstrong. That movie, Stonewall, is now in cinemas.